Joining us from Erangeles, Southern California, is none other than Tara Grammy. You know her as an actress, playwright, funny woman. She was in the film, of course, A Simple Wedding, co-starring with Rita Wilson, Mrs. Tom Hanks Wilson. She's been, I died laughing with you in The Persian Bachelorette. I guess during the pandemic, I was watching that. The viral web series is Fuzuli. Gosh, what haven't you done? How are you considering?
You're catching me on a day where I can safely say I am not okay. That's the truth. I'm not okay. I don't really know anybody right now who's Iranian who's okay.
There's a feeling of weightlessness right now, right? To understand, you were born in Tehran. You came to Canada in 1988. I came just...
No, I was born in 1988. I came to Canada 94. So I was
My
6.
bad. You are
That's
younger
okay.
than I am. Okay, you came in 88. You were born in 88. You came to Canada in 94. You still have fresh memories of Tehran. I came when I was a 2-3-year-old and I was born in Shiraz. So I'm like kind of a Persian redneck to your established, patrician Tehrani, but that's neither here nor there. You have memories of the place. I don't. And it's now, for the lay listener out there, 47 years of the Islamic Republic. And there have been several close calls. There were the student protests of 1999. There was the 2009 near Twitter rebellion. There were the terrible protests following the bludgeoning of Mahsa Amini, the young woman who was taken into custody and killed for not wearing proper headscarf. Obviously, what happened now, the bombing last year, the coordinated Israel and United States bunker buster bombing. And Iran, as you know, we had our own Tiananmen, and maybe worse than that in January, and maybe tens of thousands of people killed. And you've become this clearinghouse, this direct message source on Instagram for people's horror stories.
Yeah. What happened for me, so like you said, like I was born in Tehran and grew up in Toronto, but I had the very great honor of getting to go to Iran every summer to visit friends and family. So I have a very close relationship with Iran in that regard because I grew up going there. And then in 2009, like you mentioned, was the Green Movement, which kind of changed my perspective. It was the first time I'd really seen as an adult Iran on the news and really saw the atrocities of the Islamic Republic from the outside. Because when I would go to Iran, it was super fun. I'd have a great time. I didn't really think, I knew that it was bad. The government, I always knew when you're born, I always say every Iranian knows the word for revolution by the time they're 4, right? So I knew it was bad, but I hadn't really like understood it till 2009. And so I wrote this play as a kind of a way to metabolize what was going on. And it became a really big hit. And from there, I became very dedicated to speaking about but to amplifying the voices of the people in Iran. So every movement that would happen in whatever way that I could, I would speak out. So when Mahsa Amini was killed in 2022, I had just done Persia's Got Talent. I was a co-host on Persia's Got Talent. So I had a little bit of a following and I started getting videos from Iran, from actual videos of people getting shot up because people were just getting all these videos and they would just send it to whoever had a platform and was Iranian. So I wrote a message and I said, if you are scared to post for any reason, I'll post on your behalf. And it kind of started from there.
Tara John, can you explain what Instagram is? Because this is a very sanctioned country, Iran. And yet there is a loophole or some sort of air pocket. Maybe it's the virtual private networks. I follow Iranian culinary influencers. There's that guy that looks like Super Mario that has the mustache that has more than 1 million. Arash, I forget his name, but he goes around like, bah, bah, bah. If you can have, this slab of meat in the shadow of Mount Damavand, and he has thousands of followers. There seems to be this back channel or this area where the Washington, Tehran were looking the other way while there were people-to-people exchange. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
Facebook Meta owns WhatsApp and owns Instagram.
Yes.
And that should be sanctioned stuff, but they're not one to enforce. No, an Iranian person who has a food blog or a comedy blog can be an influencer.
I mean, it's a little bit complicated because some of these people do kind of adhere to the guidelines of the regime, the ones that are inside of Iran. A lot of them do, and they do police Instagram. But you do have to have a special kind of VPN to be able to get on Instagram. It's not free in the country, but it's one of those things, a gray area where people aren't allowed on it, but they're not going to police you unless you do something against the government on Instagram. So if you're posting against the government, you can be punished for it. But if you're not, they kind of turn a blind eye.
And ditto WhatsApp, they're both owned by the same company, Facebook Meta. That seems to be the means of communication. Or if you want to take a voice over IP call, or if somebody gets on a VPN. Look, I don't want to out anyone, but I do want to, as opposed to you, like when I was a kid, my mom would wake me up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday and say, "We're calling your uncle in Iran. It's only 80 cents a minute." And then you'd hear, "Donnie John, and go talk to your uncle." Now it's very different. The stuff, data is ubiquitous, even though there is a kind of there's a digital curtain to Iran. There are many ways of getting through. It's impossible to snuff out all sorts of communication.
Unless there's some sort of uprising where the first thing that the government does is shut down communication with people in the country. So right now, we haven't been able to reach anybody in Iran. It's incredibly difficult to get VPNs. I know someone who paid a lot of money, like $1,000, to be able to get 50 gigabytes of data to be able to call me. So it's really bad right now in Iran. This is one of the worst things that I think the Islamic regime does, is during times of turmoil, completely cut access to communication with the people.
How has Starlink changed that? I don't want to get you into kind of the technological, bric-a-brac, inside baseball stuff, but that seems to be a game changer when it works.
Yeah, but if you're discovered with Starlink, you can get killed. The punishment is death. It's extremely illegal. It's very scary to have Starlink in Iran. If you have it, you're immediately arrested. So, because their thing is, if you have Starlink, you're with Mossad. So it's communication. It's communication warfare. And, it kind of like I just had someone text me and be like, "Hey, do you have any way to get in touch with my mom? It's my birthday today. It's the first time in my life I haven't talked to my mom on my birthday. I don't know if she's dead or alive." Like, that's what I'm hearing from people in the diaspora right now. They can't even reach her 80-year-old mom, because you can't even call Iran on a landline.
So where are we now? It's really, as I said recently, it's a bit stranger than fiction to imagine, Donald Trump, New York City developer, carnival barker, self-promoter, reality star, in there with Israel in a midterm election year, exhorting the Iranian people to, after a few days, take control of their government. It'll be the chance in many generations to do it. You have to be mixed about this, in that it's might makes right. And it also, there's a certain leap of faith that once everything is knocked down, people are just free to go in the streets. I mean, I read somewhere that you remember walking out with your mom, before you left Iran, and seeing people with machetes, or it's not unusual to see IRGC people with Kalashnikovs. It's not a minor thing even to rip off your hijab, much less rise in the streets and say, "We want a new leader."
I should say about the hijab of it all, ever since 2022, the Mahsa Amini uprising, which we call the Woman Life Freedom Uprising, the people don't really wear their hijabs anymore. Most images you see in Iran, people might have a little scarf around their necks to throw on if somebody bothers them. But I just want to make that point, because I think that's a huge win that the women of Iran did for themselves. I mean, the people of Iran, because the men, of course, helped too, but the women are just kind of like middle fingers. They don't care. But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me to speak politically. I can just tell you what the people tell me. You know what I mean? That's all I can tell you. It's complicated. It's super complicated. Somebody told me if there's a 1% chance that war will cause regime change in Iran, I will take that 1% chance rather than keep these people in power. these monsters in power, as they all know them to be. They don't believe that anybody is worse than this regime. That is what I hear predominantly out of Iran. But of course, there are 92 million people in Iran. I can't pretend to speak for all of them. But I can say that from who I've spoken to, they wanted this. They wanted change. And they believed that the only way for change was force. And, the 12-day war back in June, back then, these same contacts of mine were like, no, why are they attacking our country? But after they killed 30,000 people 2 months ago, now they're like, nope, we got to get these guys out. And if this is the only way, then this is the only way. But it's hard. It's hard because I always considered myself super far right. And honestly, my opinion doesn't matter, Roben. Like, it doesn't matter. Who cares what my opinion is? I'm literally an actress in LA.
No, but I do want to game this out. And look, I could have had a think tank person. I could have had a professor. I could have had a royalist. I could have had any other person on it. This is a very important conversation because you talk to people in Irangelis, you talk to relatives, you talk to there's a whole WhatsApp news group. Conspiracy. Our people deal in conspiracy theories. If I gave you a nickel for every time a certain relative told me that Margaret Thatcher and Jimmy Carter were in cahoots to bring the Ayatollah back, and there was a passionate affair between Margaret Thatcher and Jimmy Carter. I mean, it's like Daijan Napoleon, the stuff that you will believe going back. I mean, that's inside baseball for our Persian listeners. But nevertheless, right now, what happened in January, if you believe that 30,000 people were mowed down, right? People shot in ways to make it as gruesome as possible, to traumatize them and show them that this might be the opening inning of a kind of a last ditch holding on to power, or whatever you want to call it. There will be lots of blood that's spilled, and we're not going to give this up so easily. Whereas China, after Tiananmen, let's just put this parallel out there, the government made an implicit deal with the people and said, we will now offer you economic opportunity. We're going to grow like crazy. You can go for this, become rich, but if you touch that other rail of politics, we will kill you or we will imprison you. And in fact, it's more totalitarian, arguably, than it was in 1989. I'm not at all convinced that whoever picks up where Khamenei left off, the now killed Ayatollah of Iran, is up to that transactionalism. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I just read a take this morning that was like, hey, if you're mad that they're bombing Iran, the people you should be mad at is the government who got us here. They're the ones who made it so that Iran is getting bombed. So, it's hard for me to talk about all of this stuff because I'm so conflicted, but the truth is that's what the people are saying. The people are mad at the as the Islamic Republic. I even hate calling them Iranian because they don't really care about the people of Iran or the country of Iran. I mean, look at their economy, look at the environment. There's no air in Tehran. There's no air. They do nothing to control the pollution in Tehran. I've had people I know have to leave Tehran because they really can't breathe in Tehran.
And there's a water crisis right now. There's a real potable water crisis.
Yes.
It has been said, when the capital was relocated, if you go back to Qajar times, that Tehran was never preordained to really become this strong capital. It was seismically unstable. It always had these earthquake issues. There was always going to be a water drought problem. That there were other capitals at great times, but love it or hate it, and it's a chaotic place, and it's grown like crazy since the time of the revolution, and the population has grown. That's what Iran has right now.
Yeah, it's my favorite place in the world, Tehran. You can't. If I was given like a ticket to anywhere in the world, I would pick Tehran. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Full disclosure, I'm Roben Farzad. Joining us from LA is, of course, Tara Grammy. She's an award-winning actress, playwright, funny woman. She was in the movie A Simple Wedding. She was in The Persian Bachelorette, which I loved. You should absolutely look it up. I love who your sidekick was, who somebody called her your aunt. Fuzuli, the web series, and is now at a really, like, your perfect full disclosure guest in that people have come to you, an Iran-born, Western, world-recognized figure, to share stories as a kind of a clearinghouse, as a way to get through at a time when internet's been shut down. You're kind of like this transatlantic trans. You're wearing many hats.
I mean, not by choice. It's just it kind of happened. Yeah. I want.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to, I think if I had one purpose right now at this point in my life is just to be a microphone for the people of Iran who've been silenced for 47 years in every way possible. That's it.
But is that good enough? I mean, let me say the We Collective have had so many close calls in a nearly 50-year dictatorship. I remember all the hope in the late 90s about President Khatami and the various movements that came in, and there was going to be a normalization.
Reform. That was reform, Ruben June. That was reform.
But there was always hope. Rouhani, Khatami, that would come in. There was a way to reform the system. People knew that it was brutally difficult for a revolution to be countered by counter-revolution. You knew it would be bloody. You knew that a lot of people's bread is getting buttered, within the IRGC, within the military-industrial complex. Why would anyone just give it up like that? I mean, I don't think that any analyst would have said that there would be a chance of a very easy, peaceful transfer of power.
Of course, yeah. That's what everybody said. But it got so bad that that's the only way.
What do you think? And I know you're not a political person, you're not a diplomat, but when people talk to you, like say at a Chai Khunera, back in the day in LA, there'd be like a coffee bean and tea leaf near Wilshire with a fire pit, and the guy in the black socks and sneakers getting out of the Bentley. And I'm just saying, the best conversations, the best conspiratorial conversations around the fire pit. What if you say, okay, here's the history of intervention, including, our own intervention in 1953 with Mossadegh, or the revolution itself, which was people recoiling, responding, casting off the United States and foreign interventions. What about Syria, where Barack Obama blinked and hundreds of thousands of people died in a civil war? What about Iraq, which was botched? What about Libya? I mean, for as bad as things are right now, you're pretty much on the precipice of a failed state. You'd rather have somebody keeping Humpty together than the obverse. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but when it's this bad and the people are desperate for change, what can we say? When the people in Iran are looking at me over FaceTime, tears in their eyes, like, look how desperate we are that we're depending on this. They're more educated than me on the history of Iran. They know better. They know more about intervention, honestly, than I do. They know more about Middle Eastern politics than I do. I don't know. The truth is, when she's looking at me, when my friend is looking at me in Tehran over FaceTime, tears in her eyes, like, I never wanted war. I never wanted intervention, but they killed my friend and I'm tired of it. And it feels like the only way. And I know it's going to be bloody, but if there's 1% chance that it'll get better, then I'll take it.
People will really take those odds. Again, if you take, for me, demographically, a population of 92 million, an adult population of 60 million, let's assume IRGC street Basiji population, 250,000 people with guns. I mean, a civil war is a concept that's largely foreign to the modern Iranian Persian experiment. Yeah. We were a country of kings. Before Reza Shah, it was the Qajar dynasty, and it was the Ottoman Empire, and it was kind of sleepy in its own thing. It always gravitated to strong men and strong royal people, and the Islamic Revolution was a bit of an aberration. But how is this gonna? This is what's keeping me up and having me look at your videos at 2, 3 in the morning and wondering how is this going to play out. And it's not sufficient for us to say, oh, we don't know. We are not politicians. How? If people out there are pleading for Donald Trump to finish the job, if they're pleading, actually, if they're holding up posters to Bibi Netanyahu, how is this going to work out? Where has it been staged before? I understand
it hasn't. That's the thing. It hasn't. Iran is a very unique. It's very unique. It's very singular. Again, I don't want to get into I can just tell you what the people tell me. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I can tell you what they hope will happen, but the truth is we don't know. But how else were they going to get out? How else were we going to get this regime out? That's the question. And that's what they say when I ask them, because I'm against foreign intervention. I'm from Toronto. If you're from Toronto, like, I grew up under Jack Layton. Like, I am a very, New Democrat. Like, borderline socialist kind of person. I don't believe in foreign intervention. I've seen what it's done to other countries in the world. I don't think it's good. But again, when someone in that country, which is who we need to be listening to, because ultimately, Roben, nobody cares about the people of Iran. The government doesn't care about the people of Iran. Israel doesn't care about the people of Iran. America doesn't care about the people of Iran. So
you think in his heart of hearts, Donald Trump doesn't care about the people of Iran?
Of course not. He doesn't care about the people in America. Like, come on.
That's kind of what I want to get at. If you see double track Minneapolis and Tehran, if a person is autocratic at home, why there's this willing suspension of disbelief to believe that when he makes an exhortation to the American people, the great people to rise up, look what he just did in Venezuela. Again, I'm not trying to get you into inside baseball, but that was a very transactionalist, asset light, no boots on the ground, puts another strong person in place to be able to say, okay, we'll get access to the taps of the oil, and then maybe a rising tide of crude will lift all boats. What if that happens in Iran? That's the trillion-dollar question that I have for you. People are pining for an opening, renaissance, a reopening, a rapprochement, but what they get is maybe a strongman, an Egyptian-type strongman who maybe will further relax the hijab rules and other things, but will still be a strongman nevertheless.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. And that's a terrifying possibility. And that's a worst case scenario in that country. But again, when somebody looks me in the eyes and says, if there's a 1% chance that there's better, that something better comes, we'll take it. Because that's how bad it is. And you cannot compare, as terrible as Minneapolis is, you really can't compare it to the way that the Islamic Republic with live ammunition killed 30,000 people. And that's like the lowest number that we hear.
No, but I only brought it up because if he flexes autocratic tendencies at home, why would he suddenly be a torchbearer for full-throated democracy in Iran?
They don't think that's not. We know that.
No,
that's not what.
And I know that enough exiles are believing that in this case.
Yeah, but like, okay, well, that's them.
People dancing to the YMCA thing. You see what I do. And look, I don't mean to make an uncomfortable conversation.
No, it's not uncomfortable.
I try to do things in a way that if I'm having cholo kababi, I don't know if you're vegetarian or vegan or anything, but I'm having a good, let's say I'm having a vegan fesenjun with tarajun, right?
Okay.
What would we be talking about over this lunch right now? And I try to project that to my listeners and explain the torment among exiles. You might be a very Western liberal thinking person, but the president of the United States is very much a might makes right person.
Yeah, totally.
I'm really worried about what's going to come out of the rubble of this.
100%. We all are. How could you not be? How could you not be? Every single Iranian is worried right now. And anyone who's dancing, God love them. They're hopeful, and I hope they stay hopeful. And I hope that they, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to yuck someone's yum. Like, okay, but I don't like seeing Tehran destroyed. It's really hard for me to see bombs dropping on my country. And two things can be true at the same time. I can disagree with war, and I can think it's the only way out. Because that's what the people in this country are telling me. And I think that that's the only people we should be listening to, not politicians, not anybody. We need to listen to the people in Iran. We need to listen to Iranians because we need to care about them because no government cares about them.
Full disclosure, stay with us. This show airs on NPR, Spotify. You can watch us on YouTube. We're on the podcatchers, all of the podcatchers. One neat link for you, fulldradio.com. Again, fulldradio.com. A shout out to our radio listeners on WVTF Radio IQ. That's Virginia's NPR news source. You can find us in Ventura, California on KPPQ. You can find us in Asheville, North Carolina on WPVM. Holler if you too would like us on your air. My DMs are always open, and catch me every week on both NPR's Here and Now and CNN. If you're just joining us, my guest is Tara Grammy. She joins us from LA. She is, of course, an actor, a playwright, comedian, an activist. She's very worried about, like she is, and I am, our native Iran right now. And I want to get to this really curious kind of postmodern social media age intersection of activism and foreign affairs and comedy, and you being a person that so many people reach out to unsolicited over the bizarro world of Instagram direct messages. Could you get back to your inflection point, your turning point? I mean, watching you from afar, something definitely changed when you became a mother, as I did become a father.
Oh God, yeah. My son, I got pregnant during the woman life freedom movement. And the reason why cuz as an actor, it's as a female actor especially, you don't want to it was scary always for me to become a mom. I was like, my body's going to change and everything's going to change, and how am I going to commit to my career when I'm a full-time when I'm a mom. But when Masa Amini was killed, my husband's Iranian too. I just looked at him and I'm like, I want to make more Iranians for this world. Like, I want more people to be Iranian. And so it was finally the moment I was like, I need to do that. I want to be a mom. And it was like more clear to me than day. A lot of women go through kind of this time where they're like, I don't know. But I was like, yep, I want to be a mom. And yeah, what I think it created in me more than anything is I really see every person in the world as someone's child. And the depth of empathy is really, really, really overwhelming sometimes, that you feel as a mom. And what it's done for Iran to me is, now I see, like, that's the soil that holds the bones of my ancestors, that holds the bones of my son's ancestors. That's the place where we were created. And so that my depth of empathy for those people and what they've been through is, I mean, insane. I can't even describe it to you. So that's what it did more than anything. And that's why I'm so adamant that, please, if you're going to listen to what anyone is saying, listen to them. Listen to them. Don't listen to politicians. Everyone is after their own pockets. Every country is after their own pockets. Let's listen to what the people in this country want for themselves, for their future, because nobody else does.
I had the hardest time when I became a father because this small infant who latched onto me and just needed a couple things in the world: sleep, his mommy's milk, and when I would come home, would go under my, would cuddle under my neck and just needed my warmth and my love. And I just know there's a Wilco lyric. They said, our love is all of God's money. And I couldn't get that in my head. Every day I'd get on the bus and the train and go to work, and I was just thinking, how is everybody not similarly moved by this? And so it becomes a real distortion and a real trauma to see things such as child abuse, to see things such as infant mortality or child labor, or in this case, children being shot, pregnant women being shot. If you were to hold an IRGC person's 4-month-old, 5-month-old, there'd be a fully requited love. There's just a universe. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah, of
where
course.
that kind of threw me into this real gift, but weight of empathy and a terrible understanding. I almost postpartum with it. That how did this not touch the rest of the world, or are people so calloused or so traumatized that they can't rally around something as universal as love for a baby and other people's babies? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. It actually makes me feel, and this is like my hot take, it makes me feel sad for them, like how dark it must be to have to push down your own humanity, how hard it must be to push down your own humanity to take a life. Especially, like, it's 2026. How are we still killing each other? That's also what baffles me. It's
What
2026.
what if at this point, especially at this juncture right now, and I'm talking to you at the beginning of March, right, several days after the taking out of Khamenei, the bombs continue. The entire Middle East is right now in a conflagration. There are flares everywhere. There are missiles everywhere. There are airports shut down. What if at this point it's a kill or be killed calculus? Because if you study, again, we're not historians or anything, but if you study other counter revolutions, even the ANC and Nelson Mandela coming in, you need an extraordinary person in there to say, don't take your revenge. There will be a reconciliation process. I will keep the country together, because, as you know, and I know, there's no shortage of people that rightly want to get their revenge for what's happened. Judges, misappropriation, the use of sexual violence, kids being killed, people having to pay for the bullets to take their relatives in a body bag right now. This is not something that can be put together very quickly for a kind of a quick 3-4 month patch up and turnaround and the United States to declare victory.
It's heartbreaking. What can I tell you? It's heartbreaking. It's really hard to watch. It's hard to see how can anybody sit here and be like, no, it's totally cool. Like, people are just going to die. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. No human life lost is okay. No innocent casualty lost is okay. It's awful. It's terrifying. War is never the answer, but what else? What are we supposed to do?
Have you met the Crown Prince?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Now, as a very hesitating, you might have seen him on 60 Minutes. This is a person who, like me, last set foot in Iran in 1978. And there's a kind of a, Karim Sajjadpour called it kind of a forward-looking nostalgia. You cannot help but think about Iran in the 1970s, right? And I know it was before your time. It was when I left. But gosh, there was a Harvard Business School campus in Tehran. Mm-hmm. It was a desired emerging market. You had unbelievable exchange of technologies, of people, fashion, things that happened. And maybe that was a distortion. Maybe that was West toxification or whatever other people called it. But there's this idea that we could maybe go back to that this is a country being held down. This is a country punching under its weight. It has energy. It has an educated populace, has a largely pro-Western populace that knows about pop culture. You've heard all those stories about satellite dishes and Baywatch and these great parties in northern Tehran with Johnny Walker, blue, red, black, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, it just becomes a trope this kind of two Irans. What of this idea of romancing this idea of a return of a benevolent monarch back to Iran?
I mean, that's what they want. That's what everyone seems to want. That's what the people of Iran seem to say. But again, for all the people that are like screaming at me right now, I can't speak for 92 million people, but I can tell you from everyone that I've spoken to in all walks of life, that's what they want. That's who
they want the crown
prince. They
want
restored. The crown prince.
Which I think makes this very different from any other uprising we've seen.
Absolutely.
In our time. And you didn't even mention the 1999 uprising. These were students beaten up. This was covered in the New York Times. It was the biggest crisis for that Islamic Republic in those 20 years of existence back then. And it survived 2009. It survived 2022. It survived the bunker busters last year. I mean, as this stuff was happening, it's crazy to imagine. And yet, if we think about it, if you make your marketing slogan "Death to America," it's kind of inviting this kind of you can only talk that kind of smack for so long until you run into someone like a Donald Trump.
Totally. And also what it's created, somebody else in Tehran said to me recently when, they were little, like I think it was like third grade, they had to every morning say "Death to America, death to Israel." And because they hate this regime that's oppressing them so much, they grew up loving America. You know what I mean? Like they grew up like we always talk about this double life where people who were, in private are super free and they drink and they but outside in public, they have to have a different persona in order to survive.
Iran, behind the veil.
Yeah. Irans. It's created
Not
a
without
lot of
my children.
No, oh my God, that movie. But it's really created a lot of trauma for Iranians too, for Iranians raised in Iran, having to lead these double lives. And I think with the rise of social media, the truth of the way the rest of the world was living became more apparent. And that's why Gen Z was the generation that started the woman life freedom movement and, was relentless in their hatred of the regime. Whereas maybe my generation, I'm a millennial, were more passive in it. So I think that's because of social media. But anyway, this massacre changed everything. It changed everyone, as far as I see.
There's no going back after that. It's kind of a Humpty Dumpty thing.
You're done.
But this is where it's difficult for me. It also means that a hope of a reconciliation, right? If suddenly there are videos of IRGC people trying to enter into Afghanistan with their masks on, trying to get out, is what you saw in Syria is that Assad's people finally fled, took their clothes, like Assad himself fled to Moscow, right? The Shah left other countries. there's this pit in my stomach, this terrible feeling that there's going to have to be another huge paroxysm of bloodshed and revenge and a purge for Iran ever to see the chance of kind of a representative democracy. I just don't see axiomatically how else it would work. And
I
I know
mean,
we're not experts in that. And that's the conversation I can't even have with my relatives. It's like
no, it's really hard.
ye of little faith,
Yeah.
bomb them all and people will take to the streets. People
Yeah,
will take
that's
to
what
the
they
streets
say.
without Western troops giving them like I don't, after
But
what
how?
happened.
But when they're being attacked the way that they're being attacked, and they're looking at me like this is the only way, how can I tell them otherwise?
Then is it I wonder if that's a suicide mission. That's bleak, right? These people threw themselves.
I mean, I don't think my 27-year-old friend in Tehran is, I think that's just, they see it as their only hope. And it's bleak. But if you're only, and that's why I'm telling you, this changed me, by the way. This was the moment that I changed my opinion. And I still don't even really allow myself to have an opinion because I'm like, who the heck am I to have an opinion? It's not about an opinion. It's about literally what are they saying inside? How can I care about them when nobody else does? Sorry to keep repeating myself, but this is what needs to be drilled in the heads of everybody talking about Iran. Throw away your ideologies, throw away what you think you know, throw away what you know about history. Iran is a unique place with a unique people that nobody cares about. Let's talk to them. What do they want? Who do they want?
Who is the they? And I mean, you are very unique. You're sui generis, and that you're almost a spokesperson for they. There isn't, what is it? There's an Iranian interest section of the Pakistani embassy in Washington, D.C. There are people who go out. There's Trita Parsi. There are other people who go out and kind of somewhat represent.
Talking about the majority. Let's not talk about the people that are, because of course there's always going to be people that support dictators. Even Hitler had homies, right? Like there's always going to be people that support the dictators.
So who is speaking on behalf of you? It's very people like you and others. You could argue that Pahlavi and others. There's this argument that the exiles live in their own fantasy. That if you're in Erangeles, if you go on Ventura Boulevard, or like I say, this coffee bean and tea leaf kind of everybody around the fire pit talking about conspiracy theories in Iran, and that's not the reality on the ground. But how do we even know what the reality on the ground is? Who do we have there? Who's the we? I don't even know if I'm making sense in this. And part of me is intimidated because you are so funny. You're so out there. I've seen your shadow and now I'm seeing the persona and vice versa. And I'm just confused.
Me too. Honestly, that's the truth is we're all confused. We're confused. It's all, did you see that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes.
That's what it is. It's all of it. It's two things can be true at the same time. And it's really hard to hold that as a human being because we want to be like, no, this is what I believe, but it's complex. And also we're on day 4? This is going to keep unfolding and we're going to have to adapt with it. And again, that's why I implore everyone to focus on the people, as we should always focus on the people everywhere. And there are people that have died. There have been lots of casualties, and that's heartbreaking. And that's not lost on me. That's not lost on me. I'm not saying only focus on the people that are saying they want this war. There are people that have died in this war, and that's heartbreaking. We can't deny that. The city's been destroyed. We can't deny that that's heartbreaking. But we also can't deny that most people are happy that this is happening because it's their chance at change, not because they're happy there's a war, because there's a chance of change. And that's really a really important point.
Tara, John, when were you last in Iran?
2010.
And you were in Tehran, you were around the country. That was before you were largely recognizable now.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing and a curse in that everybody knows who you are. I can immediately, and gosh, you've never told me her name. Who is your sidekick in the Persian Bachelorette series?
Oh my God. She is a brilliant actress. She was a star of the Persian version. Her name is Nusha Noor. She is probably my best friend in the entire world. She is one of my like sister people in my life. And yeah, now we gave us the honor of being Negin, Manija's sidekick. Yeah.
The manager, the character you do coming in and doing a redecoration of a house and dressing the wasp cute couple all in black and giving them the gilded Persian tea service and whatnot. And the Persian bachelorette stuff, there's just one line I don't even know. I maybe we'll show it where someone's like, "Who is this? Your aunt?" And she's like, "Your aunt is your mother." All this stuff that I just laughed out loud. And is she in the United States?
Yush, yeah. Yeah. She lives like 10 minutes from me.
So you guys are recognizable in your mind's eye. What would be the best way to return to Iran if you just focus on the fantasy? Let's say that there is a new government, because you can't go incognito anymore. Everybody knows. Like, I think you and Maz Jobrani and a handful of other people, by dint of social media, by dint of going super viral, being recognized, I mean, you must get stopped in Tehrangeles all the time.
I'm very famous in Persian grocery stores. Yes. Everyone's Persian mom knows me. Yeah.
But how do you imagine going back to Iran, and when, and what is the best case scenario for you? Let's try to end this on a hopeful note.
Can I be really honest with you? I've imagined it so many times and been disappointed that it's hard for me to even like wrap my brain around it. My grandma and my grandpa, especially my grandpa, I have pomegranates tattooed here for them. They both passed away without me being able to say goodbye, and my other grandpa too. And I think what I imagine is going to their graves. Wow, you said hopeful and I talked about graves.
But I would do the same.
Yeah.
Right? I have not been there now in nearly 50 years.
Wow.
And I would go and visit the graves of my relatives and people I haven't seen, right? And I know that I came from this place and I came here not speaking a spit of English, and I would love to go around and try all the fruits and see Mount Damavand and do these other things and not be under this fear of, being thrown into prison, just not having to look behind my back or jeopardize anybody who I'm visiting there. And maybe it's not so crazy considering what the country was for much of the 1970s leading up to this revolution.
I mean, not crazy considering who the people are. I mean, even under this tyrannical regime, anybody that visits is like, oh, but the people are incredible. We come from one of the most hospitable, kind, warm, welcoming, loving, culturally jubilant people. And for them to be under this tyrannical regime for 47 years is heartbreaking, for the things that they've been through, for the collective trauma they've experienced that will, affect them for generations I think it's going to be in history books. The way that I think this regime is like ISIS is like the Nazis, is like, this is going to be in history books, the things that they've done to these people. And yet these people still have spirit and still write to me excited about the future. And that's why until the day I die, I will always be their voice in any capacity that I can, whether it's in making comedy videos or whatever it is. I'll always be their voice. My whole credo in life was to create content, to create a culture for the Iranian diaspora, to create an outside of Iran culture for hybrids like me. And now I'm realizing that we are all one Iranian world, and we all need to have each other's backs, not just like the diaspora having the diaspora's back and Iranians. And, we're all one, and we need to help each other and have each other's backs and try to understand each other, even if we disagree. So is that hopeful? Was that hopeful?
It is hopeful. And Tarajan, I will tell you, by way of envy and appreciation, I will grant that I am not funny. I think sometimes I make people laugh because I believe I'm funny and they find it endearing and they're like, oh, let's give this kid a laugh. But I think the CIA and MI6 can do worse than the parachute in Ed Sheeran. Can you imagine if he arrives in Tehran and starts seeking?
Ed Sheeran has not said anything about Iran and Iranians since all this happened. So he has lost all of my respect, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah.
So this song to come out of left field last year, Azizam, to have a song internet. I mean, kids are playing that now at high school functions and the like. But when you stay mum on something like this, that's so important, he has lost your respect.
And all of those Iranians in Iran, again, speaking for the people of Iran who were so excited for a word in their language to be used in a popular song and then counting on Ed Sheeran to say something like, bro, come on.
I always joked on Twitter back when I was on it that, gosh, if you gave me a special protection, a special dispensation, and a sanctions waiver to open Tehran's first Chipotle, I'd be 1, a billionaire, 2, I'd win a Nobel Peace Prize, and 3, I'd bring 2 great civilizations back together. But look, there were close calls when this happened. I mean, in the potential normalization under Barack Obama, I remember it got so close that McDonald's had a franchising section on its website for people who are interested in franchises in Iran.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's how crazy it was in 2015. And then Trump takes office, rips up the JCPA. I don't know how to close.
Which I'm glad he did, because you don't make deals with terrorists. There's no deal to be made with terrorists. They were going to, if that had gone through, like, they were going to keep terrorizing their own people. How is that okay? Also, where's the UN? Where's the people? Where are human rights organizations? What do they do for the people of Iran who've been raped and tortured and killed with live ammunition for, exercising their human right to protest?
What's coming up next for you? How are you going to channel this? How are you going to, it's a heavy crown to wear. I mean, in many ways you didn't ask for it, but you as the empath, you made yourself available. People are DMing you all the time. You're a social media colossus. In your mind's eye, how is this going? What are the things you can do next for this cause or to advance the ball?
Me personally, I mean, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep trying to talk to whoever I can in Iran, to care about what people in Iran are saying. I'm going to follow their lead. And honestly, all of my work is on hold. Everything that I do is on hold. I'm not going to be releasing anything comedic right now. There's nothing funny to say, my work is on hold. My life is on hold. I'm doing some cultural events. Nowruz is coming up. I'm hosting like one little cultural event and creating some stuff for kids, Iranian kids, which I believe, need to connect to who they are and their country. And that's it. Honestly, I'm on hold. We're all on hold. This is not normal. This level of duality that we're facing daily is not normal. And that's why I'm not okay. You're not okay. We're not okay. How is anybody okay right now?
Full disclosure, Tara Grammy, you are always welcome on this show. And I know this is not the perfect time to do it. And yet it is the right time to do it. It is the perfect time to do it. It can't be business as usual with your hugely viral Funny Woman skits, but this is something that we've mined before, at the very intersection of comedy and tragedy.
And that's what comedy is. That's what comedy is. I mean, I think that's how that's how I personally digest tragedy, is through comedy.
You're always welcome on this show, needless to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Roben.
Full Disclosure airs on NPR, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, LinkedIn, the works. Find them all at fulldradio.com. Again, fulldradio.com, and recommend us to friends and family. A shout out to our home station, WVTF Radio IQ, Virginia's NPR news source. DM me to carry us on your air.